Over the years, I've as both a fitness professional and as sort of in my own movement practice, I've come to realise how important breathing is in our sort of ability to perform and to train and to be healthy. And one of the things I've dabbled in loads of different methods of breathing, and one of the things that sort of jumps out is how complex they are, and often how they're a little unrelated to the actual movement that we do. I find that it takes a great deal of sort of conscious effort to change things. Now, to my mind, breathing should be something that we just do. It should be something that's very natural to us. It's obviously a sort of vital function that should just happen by and large automatically. And I've found that the simple approach to addressing it, and in my sort of opinion the most powerful approach, is learning to breathe properly through the nose. Now, if you remember, going back a few years, a lot of people had these little nasal strips on their nose in order to sort of increase airflow through the nose. Now, we should be breathing predominantly through the nose up to the point that we sort of really exert ourselves. So easy running, most sort of moderate activity, I suppose, should be done breathing through the nose, as should just walking around day to day. And a lot of people habitually breathe through the mouth, and certainly once they get to the stage of actually exerting themselves a little bit, they begin to breathe through the mouth. We've got a system in the nose that really clearly we weren't born with little nasal strips on. We've got a system that actually expands the nasal airway, so that what you'll find often is if you try to breathe right away running, you'll feel, some people describe it as like drowning, and you'll hear a noise because the airway, under the pressure of the increased airflow, is kind of closing in. The suction sort of pulls it inwards. Now, we've got a mechanism, if we learn to use it, that will actually open that up and hold it open. So my focus is simply on asking people to just learn to breathe through their nose. Initially it can be quite frustrating, obviously it's a very, very fundamental habit, but I've experienced it for myself, and over time it goes from being a real struggle to being really easy. And to give you an idea of the impact on performance, for me personally, I'm not an endurance athlete, although I do quite a lot of long distance running, and my average pace is typically about 9 minutes per mile. If I get everything right and my breathing's functioning well, I use a few other things to sort of complement and enhance that, but it can take about a minute off my pace. So without any fitness training, just with manipulating how I breathe, how my body functions, I'll get about a minute off my pace, which is a pretty big advantage. It also gives, to my mind, learning to breathe through the nose, and I use this again when I run. If I'm not feeling quite right, I'll have a few little glitches around the body, a couple of little sort of twinges, aches or whatever. And my approach has been to focus solely on getting my nasal breathing right, and I'll find that after 2 or 3 miles in, say, a 10-mile run, I'll begin to go faster, I'll begin to feel much better. And a lot of it is down to the breathing. Whenever I find I get a point in the run when I'm beginning to, say, tighten up a little bit, I'll focus on the breathing, and it relaxes me and allows me to carry on in a sort of much better state. It also, as you get better at it, allows you to go and take it into much higher performance. And I think the fact that it's such a simple focal point, it'll calm you down, it will sort of reset the body to a degree. It really, really, to my mind, makes a lot of sense. Now, I focus in my training on the inhale. As I said, it can be extremely frustrating to begin with, but the way that I like to coach is ask people to pay attention. Don't do loads of repetitions, don't lie down for 20 minutes and breathe. You might pick 10, 20 breaths, and each breath is going to be an opportunity to observe your body, to kind of build some awareness of your body, and to obviously then begin to influence and change it. And I've stolen from one of the courses I did the idea of using the smell. I think smell is a real obvious and natural function for our nose. Breathing into my tummy, as you might do in yoga or something, I struggle to see that that's a sort of a function that I'm necessarily able to do, whereas smelling certainly is. And what I've done is I've constructed 3 different lessons, if you like, or exercises that you can go through, which will be on follow-on videos, so that we're going to try it in a second, just for a few breaths, but you then follow those lessons, and they're going to sort of deepen your experience and begin to allow you to first build awareness and then to influence how you breathe. And then you can go and challenge it. And I find the 2 ways that I think really help and challenge it. Initially, we're going to have to do this in a fairly static position, if you like. But clearly it needs to be taken out into performance. And so you can go for a run. You might even be able to take it into another form of workout, but basically into some sort of moderate, at least, if not quite high exertion. I will also use it to recover myself quicker. So if I've done say an interval training, I'll stop and I'll try and reset my breathing through the nose as quickly as possible. Obviously your body is often trying to kind of go, panic a little bit, and if you can just go reset, you'll actually feel that you've kind of come down a lot quicker. And the other one I really like is a cold shower over your head. That kind of typically makes your face kind of clamp up. Big sort of panicked inhale or breath hold, and if you can learn to do it in that situation, you've really mastered it. So the point is we're going to start off very easy, we're going to build awareness, and eventually we're going to challenge it and try and take it into the sort of real world of sports and exercise. So the thing that I say now is just go away from this, try 10 breaths, just 10, nice and slowly, and the things to pay attention to are just close your mouth, tongue on the roof of the mouth, breathe just through the nose. Can you hear a noise? Can you feel the breath? Do you feel the nostrils? Do you feel the breath travelling back through the nasal airway, back through the head? Can you feel maybe a bit of tension through the neck and upper shoulders, which is often where people will initiate their inhale from. They're in this sort of slightly panic state. Can you feel that? And then maybe try and change it. Can you relax? Can you reduce the tension? And in the 3 exercises that follow, I'll take you through these steps in a little bit more detail.